starting with exclusive breaking news that we have on the escalating tensions between the Tamil Nadu government. Well, NDTV has exclusively accessed the letters of the Tamil Nadu Governor RN Ravi addressed to Chief Minister M.K. Stalin over the dismissal of arrested Minister Senthil Balaji from the Council of Ministers. Now, in his first letter that the Governor wrote around 7 p.m. last evening, he cited the pending criminal case, the pending money laundering case against arrested Minister Senthil Balaji, and stated that he is exercising his powers under Article 154, 163 and 164 to dismiss him as a minister without the advice of the chief minister. And this was a fairly contentious move because it was the first time that a governor dismissed a minister without getting the advice of the chief minister. But this was only to retract the decision in just about 5 hours through a second letter to the chief minister stating that I've been advised by the Honorable Union Minister of Home Affairs that it would be prudent to seek the opinion of the Attorney General. So those were the two letters that the Governor wrote to the Chief Minister, first dismissing the Minister Senthil Balaji, and then in just about 5 hours from that he wrote a second letter reversing his decision. My colleague Arvind Gunasekar joining us with details of both these letters. And Arvind, take us through the details of the two letters. Of the first letter in which the Governor stated reasons for the Minister's dismissal, and in the second letter, what are the reasons that he has mentioned for reversing his decision?
Priyanji, we have accessed both the letters that were written by Tamil Nadu Governor RN Ravi to Chief Minister. So this first letter, this was written at around 7 p.m. yesterday. That's on June 29th, and this is 5-page letter. And the first letter mostly speaks about the case, that's the case pending against Senthil Balaji, and also Supreme Court observation in that case for job scam case, alleged case, scam, and also the Enforcement Directorate case. So the first paragraph or the first part of this particular letter mostly deals with the Supreme Court observation in this particular case. But very importantly, the first letter dated 29th June that was sent to Chief Minister at around 7 p.m. that also reveals a certain interesting conversation or communication between the Chief Minister and the Governor. In fact, it makes it clear that this is not the first time that the Governor tried to remove Senthil Balaji as a minister from the Council of Ministers. In fact, according to this particular letter that we have exclusively accessed, Governor also wrote to Tamil Nadu Chief Minister as early on May 31st, asking the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister to drop Senthil Balaji from the Council of Ministers. So let's put this in context. At that particular point of time, Senthil Balaji was not even arrested by the Enforcement Directorate, nor he was even summoned by the Enforcement Directorate. So as early as May 31st, Governor wrote a letter to Tamil Nadu Chief Minister saying that Senthil Balaji, who is facing criminal investigation in this particular case, should be dropped from the Council of Ministers. So what we are also learning through this particular letter is that the very next day, that's on June 1st, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister shot back a very strong worded letter to the Governor saying that Governor cannot interfere in who should continue as a minister and who should not continue as a minister, and the Chief Minister in his language, in a strong worded letter, has made it very clear that that's the prerogative of the Chief Minister. So that happened on June 1st. Again on June 14th, when Senthil Balaji was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate, again Chief Minister wrote to Governor saying that his portfolios, both electricity and also excise department, both those portfolios should be given to Thangam Tennarasu and also Muthusamy respectively. And also also Chief Minister also retained Senthil Balaji as a minister without portfolio. Again on the very same day, that's on June 15th, again Governor wrote another letter to Tamil Nadu Chief Minister saying that the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister is not forthcoming with full facts, true facts of this particular case, wherein the Governor had told the Chief Minister that he is concealing facts like he has been arrested by the Enforcement Directorate and he is currently serving judicial custody, and that's where Governor refused to retain him as a minister without portfolio. Again, that was another letter. Another letter was strong-worded letter was again written by the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister saying that the Governor cannot interfere in his decision because Article 164 clearly states that a person can be appointed as a minister on the advice of Chief Minister, and he said that Senthil Balaji, he is retaining Senthil Balaji as a minister without portfolio. And that's where, going through the background of this particular story, Governor in his letter yesterday has made it clear that I am conscious of the fact that under ordinary circumstances, a Governor acts on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. However, in the instant case, your advice, or to put it more appropriately, your insistence to retain Thiru Senthil Balaji against my advice as a member of Council of Ministers reflects your unhealthy bias. And that's where the governor is saying that in normal circumstances, a governor should abide by the aid and advice of the Chief Minister. But in this particular case, against my advice, your insistence to retain Senthil Balaji as a minister reflects your unhealthy bias. And that's why governor is saying that I am not going by your advice, and then I am proceeding to exercise my powers under Article 154, 163 and 164 of the Constitution, and I hereby dismiss Senthil Balaji as minister from the Council of Ministers. So this particular letter clearly states that the governor, acting on his own without the advice of the Chief Minister, going against the advice of the Chief Minister, ordered to dismiss Senthil Balaji from the Council of Ministers. So this particular letter was sent to Tamil Nadu Chief Minister at around 7 p.m. After 5 hours, at around 11:45 p.m., according to our sources in the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister's office, they received another letter from the Tamil Nadu governor, and this particular letter, it's a one-page letter, and it clearly states that you may refer to my earlier letter dated today regarding the status of Minister Thiru Senthil Balaji. In this regard, I have been advised by the Union Home Minister that it would be prudent to seek the opinion of Attorney General also. Accordingly, I am approaching the Attorney General for his opinion. Meanwhile, the order of dismissal of Minister Senthil Balaji may be kept in abeyance until further communication from me. So this clearly shows that the Union Home Minister intervened in this particular case after Governor wrote to Tamil Nadu Chief Minister unilaterally dismissing Senthil Balaji from the Council of Ministers after news reports came to public. So this particular letter clearly shows that Union Home Minister intervened and he advised the governor to get the opinion of Attorney General. Only after the intervention of Union Home Minister, governor wrote another letter at around 11:45 p.m. to Chief Minister saying that Home Minister has advised me to get the opinion, legal opinion of Attorney General, and therefore I am getting a legal opinion from the Attorney General. Meanwhile, my earlier communication or the order dismissing Senthil Balaji may be kept in abeyance. So it's very clear. First letter that was written by the governor was without consultation of both Home Ministry and also without consulting the Attorney General, and that's where after the intervention of Amit Shah, the Union Home Minister, Governor wrote back another letter retracting his decision, asking the Chief Minister, telling the Chief Minister that earlier communication may be kept in abeyance. So according to our sources, what we are also being told is that the Tamil Nadu government, especially the Chief Minister, is not taking this unilateral move of the governor very lightly, though the governor has written to the Chief Minister saying that the decision can be kept in abeyance. But what we are being told is that the DMK government in Tamil Nadu has decided to take this fight politically. So at around 10:30 a.m., short while from now, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister will be holding a meeting with the senior leaders and also the legal experts on this particular case. And what we are being told is that the Tamil Nadu government has decided to fight this matter politically, and then they might even send a another strong worded letter to the governor, and that particular letter will also be made public, is what we are learning from our sources.
Arvind, thanks very much for joining us with those details. And as Arvind just pointed out, that in the first letter that was written around 7 p.m. last evening, the governor unilaterally decided to dismiss the arrested Minister Senthil Balaji, and cut to 5 hours later, he wrote another letter saying that he's been asked by the Union Home Ministry to get the advice of the Attorney General before taking any such decision. And through that letter, this decision to dismiss Senthil Balaji was put on hold. And as Arvind has pointed out, in the first letter that was written around 7 p.m., there was also mention of previous conversations that the governor had about dismissing Senthil Balaji. On the 1st of June, the governor had recommended the dismissal of Senthil Balaji to the Chief Minister, but he said that because I didn't hear from you on that recommendation, and that's why that disappointed me, and that's why he took the decision to unilaterally dismiss the arrested Minister Senthil Balaji. Now, to understand what this means for politics in Tamil Nadu and what this means for the existing face-off between the Tamil Nadu governor and the DMK government, we have guests joining us on the broadcast. We have Mr. Dharan, who is a spokesperson of the DMK, and we also have Kalyan Raman, who is in charge of the intellectual cell of the Tamil Nadu BJP. Let me start with you, Mr. Raman, first. Just in 5 hours, the governor reversed his decision to dismiss the arrested Minister Senthil Balaji. So is it safe to say that the governor clearly took that decision in haste without getting the appropriate consultation, because he was asked by the Union Home Ministry to get consultation from the AG and to reconsider his decision? So clearly that was made in haste, wasn't it?
let us look at it in perspective. Number one is that constitutional authority, which is the governor himself, has made it clear that he shall be removed. That is the order. And then he says that I am keeping it in abeyance because he wants to give scope for the Stalin government or the DMK government to reverse their idea of holding on to Balaji. That's the way I can look at it. Because any elected government in a democracy shall take the right decision. On the other hand, there is a moral ground. The moral ground for which the constitutional authority is the governor himself. He is the head of the state. So he had conveyed his opinion clearly to the DMK government that Senthil Balaji shall not continue.
But Mr. Raman, it's one thing to convey an opinion. We understand that there was an earlier letter as well in which the governor conveyed his opinion, recommending the dismissal of the minister. But it's another thing to unilaterally dismiss the minister. In that second letter, in that first letter that we're talking about, that was written around 7 p.m.
He is simply asserting his authority as the constitutional head of the state. As simple as that. I am not the spokesperson of the governor's office. But then I am seeing it from that perspective that he is the constitutional authority, and the constitutional authority is within his right to assert his role as a governor. See, the governor role is seen as the most measured and wise role rather than a politically driven role like what the DMK is doing. DMK is trying to do it just to satisfy their ego. There is nothing beyond the ego that is playing around in the minds of the DMK. On the other hand, governor has made it clear that your ego cannot continue. Your egoistic attitude cannot continue.
But you're saying that the governor is the constitutional authority to take this decision. But we've also discussed with constitutional experts, all of whom say that the governor doesn't have the power to do this without getting advice from the Council of Ministers. So which article really gives the governor the right constitutionally to dismiss a minister without getting an advice from the chief minister? Which article gives the governor that right?
See, certain things are ambiguous in the constitution still. That is why we have so many constitutional amendments that have taken place in the country so far. So we are talking about whether the governor is having authority or not, but governor is a moral authority as well. So being a moral authority, he has sent out a letter or an order saying that Senthil Balaji is being dismissed. Now he is giving a scope to the DMK government to dismiss Balaji on their own, so that there is no constitutional breakdown. In his letter itself, he has mentioned that there is a constitutional breakdown as well. So let us look at it that the governor is acting in a matured, wise manner in which he is conveying to the DMK that, okay, I am holding the decision. I am not withdrawing the decision. I am holding the decision. So you better dismiss. For me, I am not being a spokesperson of governor. I can only see it from a particular perspective. Yes,
all right. Let me come to you, Mr. Dharnidharan, now. We are showing you those letters that the governor had written yesterday, first dismissing the arrested minister and then reversing his decision. So that's definitely a major victory for the DMK. But what's the DMK's plan from here on? Because yesterday we heard that the party will approach the Supreme Court to challenge the governor's move. But now that the decision has been reversed, what is the DMK's plan further on?
See, the governor had somehow now made aware that this case would not last in the court for even a month. That's what I spoke on other national television when I appeared yesterday around 9 and 10. Because the article 164 clearly says that though the ministers in the cabinet derive pleasure from the governor itself derives a pleasure from the chief minister. So he cannot unilaterally sack a minister or appoint a minister. No, sir, don't interrupt. See, you will not interrupt because I never interrupted. Please.
Please, will you stop? Interference.
Will you stop interrupting me? Will you stop interrupting me? See, can you just mute him because I don't want to be interrupted?
You are saying something which is not correct.
No, I'm not saying you keep quiet.
Mr. Kalyan Raman, let Mr. Dharnidharan complete. We'll come to you. Let Mr. Dharnidharan finish first.
Please, sir, please mute him.
He does not enjoy the pleasure of the
Don't stop like a fool.
Do you think the CM...
All right, let's... gentlemen, we really can't hear either of you if you're going to talk like this. Mr. Kalyan Raman, I'm going to come to you next. Let Mr. Dharnidharan finish first. Mr. Dharnidharan.
Yeah, please, let him continue. Let him talk sense.
See, who are you to decide? That's the whole problem. Who are you to decide? What do you know? Do you know the Constitution?
No, no,
The Supreme
I'm
Court has
here
made
to
it very clear.
identify and tell
Mr.
you that
Raman,
you are
we
wrong.
are going to come to you next. Please let Mr. Dhanidharan finish first.
Yeah, please let him continue.
See, the pleasure comes actually from the Chief Minister. He can't act according to the whims and fancies. So the discretion has to be used judiciously. Yesterday, PDT Achari had made it very clear. He's a constitution expert. He was a Lok Sabha Secretary General. He's written 4-5 editorials in Hindu also, which clearly says the pleasure is derived from the Chief Minister only. The governor appoints the Chief Minister, but other ministers are not appointed by him. Other ministers are appointed based on the advice of the Chief Minister, right? So who is he to decide if Senthil Balaji will be a convict or not? The matter is sub judice. The matter is in the court. The court will decide if if he's at fault. The court will convict him. If he's not at fault, the court will acquit him. The Honorable Home Minister, Union Home Minister, present Home Minister, when he was Gujarat Home Minister, was also suspected of certain grievous charges. He was also in prison, but court acquitted him. Did the governor then go and remove him, saying that no, this man he's facing severe charges, he's arrested? No, the court will decide. There is a session court, there is a high court, there is a Supreme Court. They will decide that if Senthil Balaji has made the crime or not. If he has made a crime, and if the conviction is more than 2 years, naturally he'll be not serving as MLA. But right now, he is not a convict. He's only a suspect. We think ED as such has no legitimacy because ED files about 5,000 cases and only conviction rate is 0.05%. That is only one conviction rate for 500 cases filed. And this has been increased 10 times ever since BJP has come to power. So what does this say? So basically ED will go and raid anyone. And then the governor will go and dismiss. So that is breakdown of democracy. So it's not the breakdown of constitutional machinery in Tamil Nadu. What governor is doing is breakdown of constitutional machinery. Because if you look, out of 500 cases, only one conviction rate for ED. And all the ED cases are under opposition parties. If someone from TMC, for example, Mukul Roy from TMC, faced arrest in ED, joins BJP, he's acquitted, then again he will go back to TMC, then the cases start. So it is arbitrary how ED is acting. So ED then, what can the government do if this president is said, ED will randomly go and investigate summon him for about 2 months, then governor will dismiss him. So which means then why do you have democracy in this country? See, as per Indian constitution, the governor or a president is equivalent to a monarch in Britain because we have Westminster system. So have you ever seen the king or the queen ever dismissing a minister in Britain or vetoing a bill or putting a bill in abeyance? No, because that's not their job. Though he is a constitutional head, his scope is limited. As recent as 2022 in Perarivalan case, Justice Nageshwar Rao clearly said, governor is nothing but shorthand expression of the State Council of Ministers.
Right. Right, and we've had a considerable amount of argument over whether this is constitutionally correct or not. We have PDT Acharya who's joining us, and he's a constitutional expert. We also have Arvind Gunasekar on the broadcast with us. Over to you, Arvind.
Before going to Acharya on this constitutional issue, let's just make 2 points for both Dhanidharan and also Kalyan Raman. For Dharni, you are right because it's kind of ambiguous situation when it comes to constitution. But do you think that there is some, is it morally right or according to moral turpitude? Do you think that is it right to retain Senthil Balaji in the Council of Ministers because he is currently in judicial custody? That's something for Dhanidharan. Also for Kalyan Raman, he says because the situation is very ambiguous, we have to give it to the governor because governor is the constitutional head of the government. Again, if there is any ambiguity in this particular case, why didn't the governor get the legal opinion of the Attorney General before passing such a unilateral move, only to retract it after 5 hours is something that both DMK and also BJP should respond when it comes to this particular issue. Priyanshi?
Right. So, Mr. Kalyan Raman, if you can get that question to you first.
See, I think I made it clear, Arvind, that the governor is within his right to assert his authority as the constitutional head of the state.
So the point being made here is that you said that the constitution is ambiguous and it's open to interpretation. So if it was so ambiguous, why did the governor...
You are perfectly right. As a constitutional authority and an authority on the moral grounds, that he wants to convey to the state, you dismiss Senthil Balaji instead of me doing it, so that wrong precedent is not set. So he had passed an order That is my understanding and opinion, or rather a perception that he had conveyed it to the state government run by Stalin that you may dismiss on your own. That's the message I could see by what has happened. Instead of going through why it is he has not consulted AG or why he has acted upon the Home Minister's office instructions. I want to look at it this way, that he asserted himself by passing an order of dismissal and then has given scope. It is like a policeman standing on the roadside ensuring that people behave in a right manner in a traffic jam, as simple as that. So if the DMK is not ready to behave, then the constitutional interpretation will come to play a role.
Let's get into
It is
the
for the
constitutional
constitutional bench
view
to
on this.
finally decide whether what has been done by the constitutional authority in the state, that is the governor, is right or wrong. End of the day, that is what will happen if the incumbent government does not behave.
So we have Mr. Acharya who will just help us clarify all of these doubts in one go. Mr. Acharya, you just heard Mr. Kalyan Raman saying that if the government doesn't act according to the recommendations of the governor, then he's well within his powers to dismiss a minister without the advice of the chief minister. Is that something that's acceptable given the powers in the constitution for the governor of any state?
No, the governor does not have any power to dismiss a minister without the recommendation of the chief minister. That should be clear from two things. One is Article 164, which says that the chief minister shall be appointed by the governor and other ministers on the advice of the chief minister. That means the governor cannot pick up somebody whom he likes and make him a minister. He can make somebody a minister only on the recommendation of the chief minister. Similarly, the governor does not have any power to dismiss a minister without the recommendation of the chief minister. Now, why I say so? Because governor does not have this kind of a power which we are attributing to him because the Supreme Court has said it in many, many cases that the governor does not have the power to act independently. He can act only on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. Now, this being the position, I do not know how the governor exercises this kind of a power which doesn't exist. Now, I will also tell you one thing. If you look at Section 51, 1 and 5, of the Government of India Act of 1935. After all, our constitution actually is based on basically Government of India Act of 1935. There, Section 51 deals with the governor and also the appointment of ministers. There the governor can choose and dismiss the ministers in his discretion. This is what is written there. But that means the governor has the power to choose a minister and also to dismiss him. But that is not the case in our constitution. When this article was framed, they omitted those things. That is the discretion and the governor choosing the minister and dismissing the minister in his discretion. These words were omitted. The reason is that the constitution has not conferred this kind of a power on the governor to dismiss an individual minister.
Acharya sir, sorry to interrupt here, but we have accessed the letter of the governor wherein he says that he is exercising his powers under Article 154, Article 163 and also Article 164, and he is also reiterating that under normal circumstance the governor is bound by the aid and advice of chief minister. But in this particular case, because the chief minister is going against the advice of the governor, he is saying the chief minister has gone against the advice of the governor, and because he is insisting on retaining Senthil Balaji, which according to whom is an unhealthy bias, and that's why he is saying that I am exercising my powers vested under Article 154, 163 and 164. So according to you, these three articles under Constitution, do you think that governor has some kind of discretion when it comes to holding someone as a minister, because Article 164 says that a minister shall hold the post with the pleasure of the governor? That seems to be the interpretation that the governor is making in this case.
No, governor can give any interpretation. The point is these articles have been interpreted by the Supreme Court in many cases. So this law is settled that the power of the governor does not have the power, independent power to act in any manner, except, of course, certain areas where he can exercise his discretion, which have been spelled out by the Constitution itself. You cannot go outside that and say that the governor has some power, he can exercise it because the chief minister has not accepted his advice and all that. See, the point is, the governor can certainly counsel the chief minister. He can advise him, he can caution him and all that. He can do that. But even after that, if the chief minister or the council of ministers doesn't accept it, the point is, then what do the governor do? The governor can't do anything because they are responsible. The council of ministers is responsible to the people. It is whether they have done a wrong thing or not, that the people will decide. That is what the constitutional scheme is. It is not that when the governor gives an advice to the chief minister doesn't accept it, immediately the governor moves and he takes an action against a minister or that kind of thing. That is not fair at all. This is a terrible misconception that we have. Governor does not have that power. As I explained, the Government of India Act 1935 contained the provision where the governor had the discretion, but that discretion has been omitted when Article 164 was framed in the Constitution.
Right.
That difference we should understand.
Right. Well, gentlemen, thanks very much for joining us. I think the word is clear coming in from Mr. Acharya at the end that it was unconstitutional and there's no power that the governor has to dismiss a minister without getting advice from the Council of Ministers, from the Chief Minister as well. So that's why this was an unconstitutional decision taken by the governor, is what the constitutional expert is saying. But of course, one question that the DMK faces, while this reversal by the governor is a victory for the ruling DMK, they face a question on whether this arrested minister facing money laundering allegations will still be retained as a minister in the cabinet despite getting a recommendation from the governor.